All right, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what the hell.
It's all right. We're on.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, we can hear you. We are starting the meeting. It is 2:05. I am declaring that a quorum is present. Are there any additions to the agenda? All right, hearing none. Um, Approval of minutes. The chair is open to receive a motion to approve the minute, the meeting minutes for April 29th, 2024. Member Weissman,
Motion to approve the open and closed minutes.
is there a second? Properly seconded. Member Butler. All those in favor, in any discussion, I'm sorry. All those in favor? If
Aye.
none,
Aye.
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 Unanimous consent. Thank you so very much. Now moving on to B, closed meeting minutes. I do personally take a point of privilege right now to update the the closed meeting minutes. We, it looks that there was a couple of reasons that were missed um, to move into the closed meeting discussion, which is reason 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and reason 15, to discuss cybersecurity if the public discussion put security systems and or personnel at risk. All right. With accepting those updates, any other issues, concerns, edits cited for your review? All right. If there are none, the chair is open for a motion to accept the closed meeting minutes for April 29th, 2025 with edits.
Mr. Chair, Jackson Stanley, I move that we accept the closed meeting minutes of April 29th as edited.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by aye.
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 All right. All in favor, unanimous consent. Thank you so very much. Now moving on to the state administrator's report. But before that, Jared, do we have public comment for this session or no? I don't think you're on mute or something. Can't hear you.
I don't think there's anybody in the
I didn't
meeting.
think so. Okay, thank you. So we are moving on to state administrator's report. Just wanted to make
Oh,
sure.
wait, we do have one person, I believe, yes.
Oh, we do?
So they are in the waiting room, so we do have comments, and that would be under new business, yeah.
Under new business. Okay, thank you.
No problem. So, all right, the state administrator's report. So, first up, we had.
Could you speak up a wee bit, please?
Sure. Let me turn up my volume too. All right. We had the biannual conference from May 4th through the 5th. It was a very successful conference, and I just wanted to say thank yous to Sarah David and Brittany Dunklow from the Office of the State Prosecutor, and Tracy Long and Michael Robson from the United States Postal Inspection Service. They gave great presentations and really helped us with, the idea of enforcement and what security measures go around, voting at this point here. And of course, also to the entire SBE staff for doing the panels and organizing the events. So yes, big thank you on those fronts there. May 6th, the governor signed all the remaining election-related bills. I was in attendance for the signings representing the agency, so that was great. So, now they're all signed into law. I was scheduled yesterday to do a voter outreach event with the Chesapeake Bay Sox, but for the Prince George's special general election, and highlight vote by mail and vote centers, because it was the first day of voting for the special election, but it was subsequently rained out, so that my voter outreach event was postponed or basically canceled on that front. In candidacy and campaign finance, we had 22 new committees established in the last time we met, and there's a pre-general report for this Prince George's special election which was due on the 23rd of May. And and any committees that fail to file timely are receiving notices as we speak about that. Right now, we're still in preparation for the 2026 elections, and candidate filing season is open. The SBE has filed 74 candidates so far. For outreach in candidacy and campaign finance, we've done the team has done candidacy campaign finance team has worked with the Democratic State Party, trainings for officers and treasurers, and they're doing another one in the month of June as well. And they also did a campaign finance training session for the Republican Party at their spring convention in Cambridge. At the one for the Republican Party, we also did an informational discussion on the state public financing program as well, and the ones in the counties. So that's been great. On the MD Chris replacement update, we're still on, looking very good for implementation for the new system to be completed by November of 25. We are conducting gap analysis right now, sessions for MD Chris and the BCDS system, which is the Title 14 and the Business Contribution Disclosure System, and focusing on some enhancements and modifications to support filers and stakeholders there. As everyone knows, the legacy system is currently operational and is functioning, so there is no disruption to services for users and stakeholders right now. Public financing, we have 5 counties that are going to be using public financing this year. 3 counties are brand new to public financing: Anne Arundel, Baltimore County, and Prince George's. And we have 31 active publicly financed committees, right now, going forward with that. On the state, we have over $10 million in the Fair Campaign Finance Fund, and so no additional funding is needed on that front. And the division was also busy with enforcement actions, and they're there for your in the report ahead as well. In election management and compliance, we're of course doing our annual inventory review, and so that's underway. So it involves the local boards and SBE conducting physical scans of all state-owned equipment, as making sure that it's all complete. So far, 17 local boards have completed their physical inventory, and 5 others have reached almost 98% completion. So we're on track to meet DGS's reporting deadline in September. So we're looking very good on that, and making sure that we're going to meet that deadline, and may even be earlier on that. And one of the things too is that, of course, we're in preparation for 2026, and we are getting the portable battery backup stations that we're procuring those to be utilized at polling locations in the event of power outages, so that voting can still continue without any disruption during the power outage. In information systems and technologies, we are currently, securing, we secured at the Board of Public Works for approval security improvements relating to expanded mail-in ballot application procedures utilizing the statewide voter registration database. This approval covers the enhancement of disaster recovery capabilities, so that's just being in preparation for the 2026 election. And one of the things too is that with responsible uses of artificial intelligence, and our technology leadership team continues to evaluate the use of generative AI tools for the agency in accordance with the governor's guidelines for responsible AI usage. So that's what's going on in information systems and technology. In information securities, we have no updates, which is always a good thing. We're just making sure that everything's being monitored. In personnel, we have some new people that are on board now. Christina Bonard began working with the auditing division and campaign finance. We're excited to have her join the team. And yesterday we had Sierra Wiseman and Erin Hustings join our policy division. As you can see, Sierra comes from the Air Force, and Erin has extensive legal knowledge and expertise. So we're extremely excited to have them both join our team. And basically right now we're all our permanent positions within SBE are filled, and we're fully staffed, but that doesn't mean that we don't need more pins. We always need more bodies, but right now we have no vacancies. So that's the key to this right now as we prepare and go forward into 2026. And we have posted recruitment for the Baltimore City election director position, and applications will be up and running until Friday, and then I will be working with the city board to conduct interviews in the near future on that. And we also have started to look for a couple of other deputy positions in St. Mary's County, and Allegheny County is also looking to fulfill their election director position as well. And in Wycomico and Baltimore County, they both have filled their deputy director positions there. So that's been great. So we're slowly making sure that the SBE has their team in place for 2026, and the counties are going to get their teams ready for 2026 as well. In procurement news, basically the biggest one here is the statewide poll book modernization project. We received 3 viable proposals, and so now the official evaluation will commence, has commenced, and we're now reviewing all of those proposals at this time here. So that's the biggest one there. The new voting system project is also in the works and moving forward with it. So we're still on track and making sure that it's ready for deployment for the 2028 election system there. So that's the biggest news there. In the mail-in voting section, that was basically the Prince George's County Special General Election, which is Tuesday, June 3rd. They had sent out over 617,000 ballots to all the registered voters in Prince George's County. And since this was a vote by mail election, what we're going to do after this election is just also to remind the population of Prince George's, because they've been getting a lot of ballots because of the special elections being vote by mail. They might think that they are automatically or on the permanent list for mail-in ballots for the 2026 election. So we just want to make sure, just telling the individuals, you received that ballot in the past because it was a vote by mail election for the special, but for 2026 election, you are not a mail-in voter. So just so that there's no confusion moving forward with that. And if they want to become a mail-in voter, then giving them a way to sign up for that, at this time, just so that they understand what's going on. In voter registration audits and operations, we are, doing our monthly audits of voter registration data, to make sure. And right now, the focus, of course, is on duplicate voter records reviews from the 2024 presidential general. And once we get all the evidence and the reviews are complete, we make referrals over to the Office of the State Prosecutor for that. Of course, we always work with Eric and, and update those information as well. Overall, we have crossed over 4,300,000 active registered voters in the state of Maryland. So our state keeps on growing, and we have some charts there for the latest motor vehicle agency transactions that we've done there. And then just some news from the locals. Mako held its annual conference in Ocean City from May 6th through the 8th, and that was a good conference there. I wasn't able to attend, but I know that others did. And just kind of another little outreach night here, which is on July 12th. The Frederick Keys will host an election and worker appreciation night at the ballpark. And I just wanted to thank Barbara Wagner for getting that event together, just to, make sure that, staff and also election judges get that appreciation for helping us out. And hopefully they'll come back for the 2026 election as well. And since the last state administrator's report, there was no delegated duties that were exercised to report.
Thank you very much, Jared. I wanted to also acknowledge your leadership and getting the board fully staffed, considering what you took on. So kudos to you and your leadership. We're very thankful for you guys. So I wanted to highlight that. That was not an easy task to take on during an election. We're very, very proud of you guys. With that being said, I think Diane has a question for you. I'm not certain, but the floor is open for questions.
Yeah, I can't find my raise hand button. Anyway, did you say that Baltimore County had filled, or Baltimore City had filled the spot for the new director?
Baltimore City is having the interviews. We
Okay.
just put that out, and it closes. The application period closes tomorrow, May 30th.
Okay,
Baltimore
great.
County filled its deputy
New
director.
Okay, I just want to make sure I had it correct. Thanks.
Mike, can you hear me? It's Jim.
I can. Before you, Jim, I have Jake with his hand up, and then I'll come to you, Vice Chair. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Marinus, obviously echo what the chair said. Just a couple questions. First off, really glad to hear that Chris is still on schedule. You knew I was gonna bring it up. I am curious, the weekly gap analysis sessions that you're talking about, what are those like? What are we talking about here?
Well, it's more like, the functionalities, right? Like, it's like where the contribution comes in, how do you enter it in, and then also how it's going to go up on the reporting system there. But Alan is online here. He's been leading the charge on those fronts there. But that's basically kind of like, technical stuff, making sure, every part of Maryland law is in the system. So if, it's a COTS product, right? And so, they might have a fill-in that says, and I'm just using this as an example, like, we want to put a warning, because we remember we have those little flags, right? Of like $6,000 or more. So they have the flag, but they don't know what to set it at. So then we go in there and say, it's got to be at $6,000. So then we go in and test it by putting in a $6,000 contribution and then a $1,000 contribution to the same person to see if the flag then triggers at $7,000 being over the aggregate limit. Things,
Gotcha.
those types of flags as well, and making sure that it's for Maryland law. But Alan, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I can share, Jake. So we've been working on registrations, for example, PAC registrations, candidate registrations. So we're doing step at a time, what the system requires. And like Jared said, it's a COTS product. So the system has to be adjusted to fit Maryland law. And we have some different takes on law, like we do election cycle rather than per election. So things have to be adjusted to fit our requirements. So it's kind of a fascinating discussion, and then we're trying to make it as user friendly as possible, like little information buttons about like what type of committee, because there's some confusion sometimes, like am I an independent expenditure committee or electioneering communications entity? So like we're trying to give the tools to the filers so they can make the right decisions. So it's
And are
been
we
really
having
great.
are we having any conversations? Have we had any conversations with consultants on all sides of the aisle in terms of the folks who are using this most often?
Yes, I'm in regular communication with consultants from both sides of the aisle, and getting their feedback on some things. So they've provided some good feedback to us.
Some couple more questions, Mr. Chair. Mr. Damaris, you mentioned, and you have in your last couple updates about evaluating the use of generative AI. Just a little bit of clarification. Are you saying that we are taking a look at what AI tools to use, or are you saying as AI tools enter into the conversation, we are evaluating them through the prism of the administration of the governors and the state's kind of policy on AI?
Yes, right, exactly, right. So there's a couple of things. Right, the governors and the governor's initiative is to kind of use new technology to help us in our jobs. So we're a part of those discussions, being on those panels with DeWitt and others on there, and basically it's kind of, I would say, making sure that every step of the way is being vetted to use AI in a responsible manner. And then for us, as we use it internally, to make sure that it spits out the right information. I kind of use it also to see what is being done outside of it, just to see answers. You ask like questions about like the Maryland elections or anything like that, to see what answers it would give, so that
Sure.
I'm looking at it from a different perspective as well. So we look at it from internal usage, but then also what exactly is it saying to the general public about us as well, so that we can then kind of start correcting the record if need be on that.
Makes sense. Last question. I guess I didn't quite realize that we had multiple people working on policy. Can you just kind of explain, similar last name, Weissman is not related.
Right.
But can you just kind of explain a little bit what these folks are going to do?
So basically, at one point here, they're going to be in the voter registration division as well. And so let me see here. Let me pull up here. Why don't I have this? And so the policy division, right? Basically, there are two separate divisions that are going on. Jake, sorry, Member Weissman, and it oversees mail-in voting, voter registration, regulations, and election reform, which is, I would say, more of the external systems as well. And then you have the IT functions. And their jobs will be with voter registration and making sure that the processes work there, and also helping out in the regulation development as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Marinus. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Member Weissman. I appreciate you, State
Oh, and I'm sorry,
Administrator.
also too,
Go ahead.
the other big thing too is that as we one of the changes, of course, was with risk limiting audits, and so they will also be a part of using post-election audits as well, because in developing those policies.
Thanks.
All right, Member Vice Chair, your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, I apologize. I had a problem last month and then this month too with the Zoom. And I got a new computer to fix it. Shows you. So I apologize for that. No, I just want to throw something out for Jared to consider. because I know you do, your team and you do a great job with outreach. But when I was with Montgomery County, we had a naturalization service, a naturalization swearing in of new citizens. And then after that, we registered them to vote. Got tremendous publicity. It was really an emotional, wonderful event. So I just throw that out to consider maybe the state board having a naturalization ceremony, and maybe invite the governor or one of the federal officials, Christy Nome, people like that. I think it would generate a lot of publicity, and it certainly would be timely, with all these issues about voting and immigrants. So I just throw that out as a thought.
I welcome that thought, and we will of course reach out to our local LBEs to see, because they're a little bit closer on the ground to those areas there, and help facilitate those partnerships. And I'm always available to run out and hand out a voter registration application as well. I'm always on the move on that front there. That's why I
But
wear
yeah, no, I'm just saying those ceremonies though are so meaningful. It's just wonderful, and the press ate it up. I mean, it's great publicity to, have a swearing in of new citizens and then register them to vote. Just something to think about. It was just fantastic. But you and your team do a great job with outreach. I just think this would be a little feather in that cap. That's all. Just a suggestion. Thanks.
look into that. Yes, definitely.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair. If there's nothing else, I'll move on to Member Butler, who has her hand raised.
Just a quick question that Jake brought up with the new policy people. You said for mail-in voting, election reform. What do you mean by election reform?
It's just our title from in the past. That encompasses election judges and I think post-election audits as well.
Post-election audits, and then regulation development.
And updating our forms and materials on our websites as well.
Okay, and then regulation development. Can you explain that one just to hear more?
So regulation is just basically the process to, each division has ownership over the regs, but then it has to get submitted to DLS, and then there's just an internal process for that. So we have a point person as well and a backup.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Member Butler. All right, moving on to, thank you very much, State Administrator Damaris. Dan Corbin with who is our Assistant Attorney General. We're ready for your report. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, members of the board. It is a blissfully boring AAG report this meeting. Litigation is ebbing a little bit, although I bet that ebb is going to start gearing up as we get closer to the 26th season. Only 3 cases on the report. The third I'll speak a little bit more about because there was a little bit of action in that case. The first, the Sullivan v. Summers case, there's absolutely no change to that since the last report. That is still essentially in a holding pattern where the parties have jointly requested essentially a dismissal of all outstanding claims. The court decided the issue that it had before it. SBE is currently complying with that court order. If you go to SBE's website, if you look for the PDF for purchasing voter registration data, the offending language that was adjudicated to be preempted by the National Voter Registration Act is no longer in the form, and it is no longer being enforced by the State Board of Elections. Number 2, the De La Roca v. Lee case. So that is, again, in a holding pattern. OAG, on behalf of the State Board, filed a motion to dismiss. OAG also filed the same motion to dismiss on behalf of the Secretary of State of Maryland. That was a couple of months ago. At this point, we're waiting for the process of the Postmaster General to file their motion to dismiss to kind of finish up. They've actually filed it, and there's been an opposition filed by the plaintiff. The Postmaster General will be filing a reply fairly soon, actually. They just got a brief extension. It'll be within the next week or so. And at that point, both motions to dismiss, the one for the state defendants, which are SBE and the Secretary of State, and the one for the Postmaster General, will be pending before the court, and we'll hope for a good outcome soon. The third case, California et al. V. Trump et al. This is the 19-state lawsuit against members of the federal government, officials in the federal government, will now enjoin, but essentially to invalidate the executive order on elections that the President of the United States issued about a month and a half ago. What has happened since the last meeting is that the 19-state, well, first, the court denied the federal government's, and when I say federal government, I mean the federal defendants here, denied the federal defendants' motion to consolidate the state lawsuit with 3 other lawsuits that were pending in Washington, D.C. And so the state lawsuit will remain in Massachusetts and will remain proceeding before a judge in Massachusetts as it has been. What has also happened is that the plaintiff states filed a motion for a preliminary injunction. So just to be clear, the plaintiff states filed the complaint that started this case, and the complaint asks the court to invalidate, essentially, the executive order, or certain provisions of the executive order, I should say. But that can only happen at the end of the case, once there's a final judgment in the case. Until there's a final judgment, the executive order is still there. And so the plaintiff states have asked for a preliminary injunction, which asks the court to enjoin, to essentially suspend the executive order while the lawsuit is pending, because irreparable harm will result if states have to comply with the order while this lawsuit is pending. And I'm happy to share the filings with the board, which Maryland did participate in pretty substantively. And I want to give a shout out to SBE's own Melissa Dorsey for doing an enormous job of getting sort of the facts together from Maryland's point of view of why we needed a preliminary injunction and what kind of harm we could expect. The motion that was filed actually cites to Maryland's materials quite a bit. But it essentially asks to enjoin the order while we have the lawsuit, because if the order is not enjoined, Maryland is going to have to start spending an enormous amount of money and an enormous amount of people, resources, human beings dedicated to updating our entire voter registration and electoral system to comply with an executive order that Maryland and 18 other states is arguing is illegal and unconstitutional and may not exist at the end of this lawsuit. That preliminary injunction process, so the states filed a request for or motion for preliminary injunction. The federal defendants have opposed it. They've filed, DOJ on behalf of the federal defendants have filed an opposition. There will be a hearing in Massachusetts on June 6th. And thereafter, we're hopeful for a quick decision because we are almost inside of a year of our 2026 primary election. And that's for us. There are some states in this who are already inside of a year, who have earlier primaries than us. And so preparations are getting underway, as you've heard from the administrator's report and as you know. So we're hoping for a resolution on the preliminary injunction soon, and we're hoping obviously for a good outcome there. With that, if there are any questions.
Thank you very much, Dan, for that report. I see that you have a question from Member Butler.
And which parts of that is the EO that do we feel that are illegal? Is that what we're fighting?
Yeah, it's specifically the sections. I don't want to cite the wrong ones, but I believe it's sections 2A, 2D, 3A, 7A, and 7B. And
Right.
subject matter wise,
say that again a little bit slower, and then
2A,
yeah,
2D,
2D,
3A,
mm-hmm.
7A,
Mm-hmm.
and 7B. That's what we're asking specifically for an injunction on to stop now before the end of the lawsuit. Subject matter wise, so 2A and 2D are essentially the requirement that the EAC require documentary proof of citizenship on the EAC's voter registration form. And there's two reasons for that. One, federal law requires each state accept the EAC's voter registration form. And so Maryland would be required to accept documentary proof of citizenship when someone registers through the EAC's form, and then verify, like have an election official take that documentary proof in, verify it, and then we would have to store that information that this person has passed the documentary proof of citizenship check in MD Voters, which we're currently not equipped to do. It also, there's a provision of federal law that requires state forms for voter registration to register in a federal election if the state writes its own form to match all the requirements of the EAC's form. And so Maryland argues, and I think with a very good foundation, that the requirement that the EAC form require documentary proof of citizenship is essentially a requirement that all states in all their forms require documentary proof of citizenship. The second one, that's 2A and 2D. 3A is the federal postcard. This is the form that the president's designee creates so that overseas mail-in voters, our overseas service members, our overseas citizens, can use to register by mail and request an absentee ballot by mail. The executive order requires submission of documentary proof of citizenship in connection with using the federal postcard. And same problem for the states. The states are required to accept the federal postcard. And so Maryland and the other 18 states that have joined this lawsuit is arguing that there's not currently an ability to accept DPOC, documentary proof of citizenship, in time. Let me be clear, I'm describing the practical effects. We can get into the legal arguments if you want. Let me just hit section 7. The last section is the part of the executive order that directs the EAC and Department of Justice to take certain steps if a state does not comply with the White House's view of how Election Day is conducted as a deadline. What I mean by that, the executive order states that mail-in ballots should not be counted after Election Day because federal law does not permit it. The plaintiff states vehemently disagree with that viewpoint and argue that it is legally incorrect. And the executive order directs the Department of Justice to take essentially enforcement steps, civil and potentially criminal, if DOJ sees fit, against state officials if the state permits the counting of mail-in ballots after Election Day, and instructs the EAC to withhold certain funding if the state permits the counting of ballots after Election Day. Maryland, as a state, by law, permits the counting of mail-in ballots as long as they are postmarked on or before Election Day and received within 10 days after Election Day, they get counted in Maryland. So Maryland would fall into that pool of potential states that an enforcement action would happen against.
Is that 7B also?
Yes, that's the section 7 requirements are essentially for DOJ and the EAC.
Thanks. Thank you.
No problem.
Are there any other questions? Are you good, Diane? Your
I'm
hand's still
good.
up.
I'm
Oh,
trying.
okay, no problem. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to move on if you weren't.
There we go.
Thank you
We're
so
good.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Greatly appreciate it. Remain on deck. All right, now we are moving on to the Title 13 late fee waiver request. I think Alan Norfleet will take us through points 6, 7, 8, and 9. All right. I'm
That's a lot of
sorry.
stuff.
It's
Sorry.
on. Yeah, you're on. Your show.
Yeah, good
All right.
afternoon, board. I have, and again, Title 13 are candidate committees, PACs, ballot issue committees, super PACs, all those fun entities. I'm presenting 6 approvals and 6 denials for Title 13. And if anybody has questions, I'll be glad to ask or answer.
Mr. Chair, Jim.
All right, Mr. Vice Chair, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Alan, just to, I do it every meeting just for people that are listening. Could you just be a little more descriptive as to what what you're presenting in terms of violations or what we're considering to waive in
Sure.
layman's terms?
Sure, that I can definitely explain that. So this is only for late fees. This is late fees like failure to file timely. So those are the violations that are in question. And the waivers are considered, you know, if they have computer problems, if they have financial hardship, if they have medical issues during the period, they make a plea to the board to relieve them of the late fees. So that's the kind of the understanding of the waiver process.
So these are entities and individuals that have filed, but they're just late. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Member Jackson Stanley, your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Norfleet, I read all of these waivers that are requested, but under the deny section, Mr. Kawande Dibamba, I didn't understand that section at all. I tried to decipher I understand that he was denied. Got it.
Yes.
But I don't understand the rationale. Please explain again.
Well, actually, the gentleman came to my office today, and we worked.
Today, okay.
Yeah, strangely enough, he came this morning, and we worked with him on closing out, and so that will continue on. I believe what the plan is, we're actually going to transfer this to the state prosecutor's office, and there's a process on their end. Let me take a look.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. So the chairperson states they have been unsuccessful in closing the account. Yes, so I think they just got behind in the filings, and we've waived their fees before. So we do take that into consideration. If we've done waivers before, we do we're more likely to deny and to recommend a denial in that situation.
So the denial was based on his history. He had gotten
Correct.
it before. I just didn't get in
Yes.
the writing. Maybe it was just over my head, but I
No,
figured I would
sure.
ask and be clear. But that was the only one I really had a question about. But he came in today and you've worked it out as well.
Yeah, we're working to
good.
get him closed because he wants to close the account.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Great question. Thank you very much, Mr. Norfleet, for being
Mr.
receptive
Chair,
and
Jim again,
responsive.
just quick question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. Go ahead.
Alan, just briefly, when we talk about fee waivers, what are the fees? Just so we know.
They are failure to file timely late fees. So that's the only fees that are the board can waive.
I'm just curious. What are the fees? You know, I mean, what are the amounts?
I see what you're saying. It's a maximum of $1,000 per missed report or per late report. And you know, so if every report you miss, it's up to $1,000 for late fees.
And the amount is discretionary with you, the board? In other words,
With
say
you
up to
is
1,000.
correct. And that's by the law. We have a maximum of $1,000.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Member Jackson Stanley, is your hand still up, or are you wanting to ask another question? Okay, not a problem. Thank you very much for that, Alan. The chair is open for a motion to accept the board's recommendation for Title 13 late fee waiver request. Member Weissman,
So moved.
is there a second? Properly seconded. Member Butler,
Second.
thank you. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the recommendations are accepted unanimously. Thank you so very much. Now moving on to Title 14 late fee waiver requests. Alan,
Sure.
Mr. Norfleet, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So Title 14, these entities are businesses, nonprofits that either hire a lobbyist in the General Assembly. they have a requirement in our office to file. And if they have business with the state of a contract over $200,000, they have a requirement to file with us. So again, these entities are seeking relief for possible like administrative errors or computer problems. We can take that into consideration for waiver. I'm presenting one, I think it's a partial approval, like a reduction, and then the rest 5 are denied. And I'm glad to take questions about those.
All right, are there
Mr.
any
Chair, just-
questions? All right, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Alan, so these entities are not, they're not campaign committees or campaign structured units, are they?
No. So these are businesses and nonprofits that have business with the state, or they employ a lobbyist at our General Assembly. So they're kind of separate. It's kind of what the term pay to play. That's the kind of the terminology for Title 14 kind of filers. It's additional, but they also report in their reports. They report contributions to Maryland candidates.
I see.
Mhm.
I see. Oh, that answers, because otherwise I wouldn't know why they would be required to file with us if they have nothing to do with campaigns.
Yeah. I get a lot of zero activity reports, but the law is they still have to file with us.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. Thank you, Mr. Nolan Fleet. It looks like Member Butler has a question or hands up.
And I think that was my comment was we've looked at these numerous times and we're very careful to look at them. So the people that are just not filing at all, they're the ones that we're not giving them a break because they're not even trying to get it finished, it seems like. So, but the ones that have tried to work with you, we have worked with everybody that we can, correct? So
Correct. And we don't consider waivers if you have not filed. So you
Correct.
have to file. And yes, we do take into consideration if they're working with us.
Yeah, so that they do their due diligence, at least attempting to get it done, then we're
Exactly.
lenient. Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
The chair,
Thank
just
you. All right, Mr. Vice Chair. Thank you very much for that, Member Butler. Thank you, Mr. Nolan Fleet, for that exchange. Mr. Vice Chair, your question.
just briefly to get a full view here. Are the fines are the fees the same for this group as the Title 13 group, up to 1,000?
Good question. Yes, it is also set at $1,000 per
Okay.
report.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, if there are no further questions, the chair is open for a motion to accept the recommendations from the board for Title 14 late fee waiver request. Member
So
Weissman?
I'll move, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
Vice Chair, thank you very much for your motion, seconded properly by Chair Weissman. Thank you. All those in favor, please indicate by voice vote aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none. Approved. Your recommendations are accepted unanimously. Thank you. Now moving on to campaign finance entities, administrative closures. Thank you very much, Alan.
Yep. So y'all have me again. So administrative closure. This is again, it's a power that the board has for particularly tough instances where like extenuating circumstances are happening. So in this case, with John Bishop, the candidate died in 2021, and his daughter has been working to kind of get the committee closed for several years. So I'm presenting this for closure, by the board. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions or concerns? Member Jackson Stanley,
No, so
yes.
no questions. I move that we accept the recommendation of the administrative closure.
So moved, probably seconded. Member Weissman, all those in favor, please indicate by voice vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none. The recommendation is accepted unanimously. Thank you so very much. And now we are moving on to the proposed regulations. These came up last week. We addressed them we did not have the final draft before us. These are being brought forward pursuant to the fact that those drafts have been shared with us. Draft language has been shared with us. We have reviewed that. That language and those changes, the changes submitted by Member Weissman and vetted by the state administrator and the assistant attorney general, so that we are in compliance with the definition with regards to campaign finance and third-party processing equipment or entities. So with that being said, are there any questions with regards to what you guys have been in receipt of and clarifying the language for 33.13.06.01, 33.13.06.03 campaign finance third-party processing procedure as it relates to 33.13.06.05 campaign finance third-party processor provision? If there are no further questions regarding this, because I think we had it resolved. We just did not have the documents before us to move them appropriately. So I am open to a motion to accept the regulations proposed. They will go for public purview, and then come back to us for final. Yes, Member Weissman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Move that we approve Regulation 33.13.06.01, 33.13.06.03, and 33.13.06.05.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded. Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by voice vote. Well, I'll have to call this one out. Please bear with me. Member Butler.
Aye.
Thank you so very much. Member Jackson Stanley.
Aye.
Member Weissman.
Aye.
Vice Chair Shallot.
Hey,
Excuse me?
yes.
Okay, thank you. And the chair votes aye. It is unanimous. Thank you so very much for that, members, as well as you, Alan, for getting that information out to us and clarification. All right. Now moving on to old business. There is no old business indicated on the agenda. But we do have new business. We have a speaker before the board. If they are still in the waiting room, Jared, I think this is the moment for them to present to the board. They do have, I think it is relegated to 3 minutes. If we have questions, they would be at the end. But it is their time.
Yes, right now.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All
And-
right, how you doing? Christopher
Good.
Burnett, thank you for being here today. Greatly appreciate your participation.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity.
And the floor is yours.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, board members, for this opportunity to address you this afternoon. As a recently retired Marine Corps officer and resident of Northern Montgomery County, I appreciate your efforts to simplify our voter registration and ballot casting process, as well as your efforts to address voter concerns. And having recently taken the preliminary steps to run for Maryland's 6th Congressional District, I am very interested in the steps you are taking to prepare for the upcoming midterm elections. I believe free and fair elections are at the very heart of our great country. As U.S. citizens, we naturally embrace the rule of law, and we expect our voices to be heard through free and fair elections at every level of government. Having been born and raised in Western Pennsylvania before joining the Marine Corps, I did not realize just how special this was until 2005 during my second deployment to Anbar Province in Iraq, where I observed the Iraqi parliamentary elections. I witnessed tens of thousands of men and women under threats of extreme violence and retribution travel great distances and stand in long line for hours to cast paper ballots, to only then defiantly display their purple inked stained index fingers for days upon days as undeniable evidence of their strength, conviction, and commitment to democratic principles. With that in mind, I have 3 questions regarding the Maryland State Board of Elections response to President Trump's executive order to preserve and protect the integrity of American elections signed on March 25th, 2025. First, your statement on March 27th expressed continuing support for fair elections. However, has the board published or is the board developing an official position or policy regarding Executive Order 14248, especially given Maryland's role in the April 3rd lawsuit challenging it as unconstitutional and void, as well as the May 5th motion for a preliminary injunction to block its implementation? And the brief we received earlier was fortuitous. I thought he gave a great summary of the status of the case. Second, Maryland risks losing its share of Help America Vote Act funds, roughly $1 to $3 million annually of the budget for election security, equipment, and voter outreach. Has the board assessed the financial and operational impact of this potential loss? And finally, does this board support a plan to implement a statewide voter ID requirement for all registered voters? I ask this last question because it appears as though a state-sponsored solution to assist every voter with obtaining a state-issued ID can not only ensure the election integrity, but also ensure greater access to public and private services requiring an identification. Again, thank you for this opportunity to address the board this afternoon to raise these important issues ahead of our upcoming midterm elections, and I look forward to your response. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. We greatly appreciate your role and responsibility in engaging with your community and the state, which we find extremely valuable. To your point, yes, Dan Corbin addressed that first bullet quite effectively. We are in litigation, and so therefore I see that you respect our tenor at this time with regards to your response. But I mean, your question. But we are looking at your questions and concerns, especially with regards to costs. That's one of our commitments to the citizens, is to run not only a free and fair election, but a cost-conscious election, and to secure the vote. So we are working towards that. We'll continue to work towards that. Oftentimes we are working towards that with public engagement, such as yourself, from the community at large. So with that being said, I will not belabor your time. If many of the other board members, if they have questions, I will allow them this time. Yes,
Chair, I just
State
want,
Administrator.
yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that we are in litigation over this matter here. So again, as you mentioned, Chair, like, so the comments about these answers or questions like that may not be best suited for at this time.
And it is, you know, to our credit, we have a very engaged Assistant Attorney General that is very committed to the community at large, but also to his role and responsibility in safeguard of the state. So thank you so very much. If there are no, there you are, Member Butler, her question. Yes.
And then he asked a specific question. So we have, what, 30 days to respond to him
Yes.
with specific
Yes.
questions? Okay. So
Yes.
we do
And we
30
have
days.
been in response, via email as well. So we do work Christopher Burnett has been engaging with us for some time, and we're very thankful for his insight.
Good. So we will respond to him in what legally we're allowed to say. Thank you.
Yes. All right, Member Jackson Stanley. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, mine is more of a comment. First, Mr. Burnett, thank you for your service. My son-in-law also served in Kuwait, as you did, so I know that it was not an easy task for you to even come forward to. And you had very excellent questions. Of course, I'm not going to address them. I just wanted to thank you for your service and thank you for coming forth to pretty much keep us on our toes, to make sure that we are doing the job we have assured the governor we would address many, many things. And these are in very important times. So thank you for bringing your concerns to us. And again, thank you for your support. I have a soft spot for veterans, so I had to just say something to that effect.
Thank you very much, Member Jackson. We all share your sentiment and thank you for your service, Mr. Burnett, as well. All right. Thank you very much. Now, moving on to disclosure of campaign contributions. Hearing none. All right, moving on to scheduling our next meeting. If we could check our calendars really quickly. For June. I have June 26th. What is that looking like? Oh, yes, Member Weissman. You're on mute. Okay.
I
Yeah.
realized I did not mute. My apologies, Mr. Chair. I hate to be this guy. The 26th is rough for me for a work conflict. Is there any chance people would be open to the 24th? That Tuesday instead. I know sometimes we've subbed out Thursdays for Tuesdays.
I can do the 24th.
Yes.
Vice Chair,
What time would that be, Mr. Chair?
2.
Yeah, I have a brief court matter at 1, but I think that works.
You sure?
Well, it might
How
be
do
a
you
little
folks,
tight.
what do you guys think about 3, if we're moving it to the 24th? I know we're pushing it a little later. Hopefully, we may not have a closed session. We may, but we may not, for the 24th at 3 p.m.
That's fine.
No
And it also
problem.
depends on how many regulations Jared churns out with his new, with all the staff. But it's okay. It's okay. Just keep doing it. No, due diligence. I'm just kidding. All right.
The deputy administrator will be running this meeting for you guys on the 24th. So it'll go on.
Okay. All right.
I'll
Fine.
be
works.
on vacation.
All right. So we could say 3 o'clock on the 24th. Being very flexible and
Thank you,
amenable
Mr. Chair. That works. Thank you.
to our members. Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everybody.
All right. Hey, keep it going, staff. I was just kidding.
Of course.
Yeah, of course he's going to load us up. All right. So now we're on, we are moving towards adjournment, but we do have a closed session. And so I would like to request, I would need to request a motion to move into closed session, but prior to that, our reasoning for moving into closed session is statutory, through our statutory authority that given under general provision article section 3-305B, which citing reason 7 to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and reason 8 to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. Is there a motion to move into closed session?
Move, Mr. Chair.
All right, properly moved by Vice Chair. Is there a second? Properly
Second.
seconded by Member Weissman. All in favor, please indicate by voice vote aye.
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 It is unanimous consent. Thank you all very much. We will be moving into closed session and I will give us a 10-minute reprieve. So we'll come back at, let's just say 3:20 for round figure, but also is there a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn at
Thank you.
3:08.
So moved. Is there a properly second by Member Weissman?
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor, please indicate by voice vote aye.
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 I see you guys at 3:20. Thank you also very much.
It's a separate link, isn't it, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is in your email.